2 nights wild camping in my hammock, cooking on the twig stove, watching beavers, and an exciting announcement. Hi folks, this is so exciting. This is the first time in months that I've been able to come out to the woods, and I've just driven across to the woods sort of on the western coast of Scotland, and it's the area I've been to before looking for beavers, and I'm going to be here for 2 nighs. I'm going to camp in my hammock, I'm going to cook things on the twig stove, and I'm hopefully going to photograph and video the beavers as well. And it is so exciting to be here because, as I say, it's been months since I was out, and I've just missed the sounds and the smells of the woods essentially. It's yeah, I'm like running around like a dog with 2 tails. I'm so excited. What do I go and look at next? It's great. So yes, I thought I'd bring you with me. This will probably end up being quite a long vlog because I've got lots of little things planned. But yeah, day and a half to play about here in the woods, and it's going to be great. So I better get my stuff packed, get my wellies on, and get on my way. Firstly, because I don't want to waste time here at the car park when I could be in the woods where it's even nicer. And secondly, because, well, there is a bit of a breeze, the midge haven't found me yet, but they will. They will find me soon, and then I won't want to be stopped here for very long. Excited and brought too much stuff because this weighs a ton, but luckily we're nearly there now. Underquilt this time because the last time I stayed here in September I actually got a bit cold without an underquilt, and I decided to get one, and then I haven't used it. Anyway, I realise I screwed up. I've got a midge net for this hammock, and I always bring it and I never use it, and the reason I don't use it is because I always forget that the damn thing has to go on the hammock before I put the hammock up. So I'm not going to bother with it again, and I'm just going to sleep with the midge head net on tonight, and if they're bad I'll put it on tomorrow, but bugger. Anyway, I'd better get camoed up and get my camera and go down to the water and see if the beavers want to come out tonight. There's plenty of evidence of them around. There's lots more trees that have been felled since I was last here, so there's a reasonable chance that they're still active around here, so it's pretty exciting. And to be honest, if I don't see any wildlife at all tonight, I will not care, because it is so nice being here. Just we live by the sea. I mean, it is a town, so there are people around. There isn't the quiet, there isn't the stillness that you get up in the mountains or in the sort of deep forest, and I love that. I absolutely love that. So yeah, whatever happens, this is going to be absolutely fantastic, because it already is. I'm set up down by the water's edge, and have been for quite a little while now. I've got the 3D camo on, not on my legs, but I might do tomorrow. I was actually expecting the water to be a lot deeper, but it's quite shallow this year. So actually I was expecting to have the water almost up to the top of my wellies. I didn't want the 3D camo on because it would dip in the water and get wet. Anyway, I've got the Z7 and the 500mm PF lens set up. I'm actually using my fluid gimbal head today. Now, usually I'd bring a ball head on a trip like this because this is heavy and awkward. But actually, because I can level it with the leveling base, and I'm going to be photographing or videoing something that's moving around on the surface of the water, which is obviously level, then having the gimbal's really good because I can just pan and I know that I'll stay level with the water, and if there's a beaver swimming along, then it'll be much easier to keep the camera trained on that while it's moving. I've also got my microphone up in a tree, sort of a little bit away from me, with an extension cable, because that separates it from the camera and any lens noise, and actually also some of the noise that I might make kind of moving around on this seat. So it's about half an hour until sunset now, and in this kind of gloomy weather, once the sun actually sets, it will very rapidly become too dark for any kind of photography or videography. So I think I'm just going to sit that half hour, and then I'm probably just going to call it for tonight and go back to the hammock, have a brew and go to bed, because I'm absolutely knackered. It's been a really long week, and I want to be fresh for a full day of scampering around here in the woods tomorrow. But there's still a very good chance that we might see some beavers still before it gets dark, so I'm going to put the camo back on and shut up so that there's a better chance of that happening. Right, it's getting dark now, so I think it's time to give up for tonight and head back to camp. And tomorrow we'll have a little wander around and find out if the beavers really are active here. I haven't seen any active sign, and well, I've seen sign, but it looks like it's quite old. And actually, now I think about it, the fact that the water levels dropped so much might actually be that they've moved on from here and their dam is starting to disintegrate. But all to be found out tomorrow. Now it's time to go back to camp and have a brew. So after I came back to camp, I couldn't resist going out for another little walk. Just with my camera, I didn't take the vlogging gear or anything. I just went for a little walk to the next lake over from here, just in the very last light of the day. And it turns out I've been in the wrong pond today because I saw 2 beavers there. And I got a little bit of footage, video footage, handheld with the Z7. But it's really pushing it in terms of what I could do with low light video. So it's entirely possible that the beavers from this pond might actually have moved over to that one, which is funny because that pond is where I first found beavers in this area, but there were clearly 2 beavers, and so that's where I'm going to head tomorrow morning, and maybe we'll see them again. Maybe we'll get some nice footage. But now I really am going to have this brew and go to bed because it's late. was a beaver here within 10 seconds of arriving to this lake shore while I was still on the track. I didn't even have time to set up my tripod properly or put the scrim netting over anything. I was actually just in the middle of filming some B-roll, and suddenly there was a beaver right there, and so I had to just switch you off and just get on with trying to get some pictures and some video, and I think I did. So that was a pretty awesome start. The beaver hung around here for a little bit, but it's swum off now, off down the lake that way. And I don't know, but if the beavers have reoccupied the lodge on this lake that they used previously, that's just over there, the other side of the lake from me. So that beaver is likely to come back. Of course it's possible they might have built another lodge somewhere else on the lake, because that one had been abandoned for a little while. But I'm going to sit here for a little bit, and I think there's a reasonable chance that we'll see that beaver again. That's a pretty awesome morning so far. Worth getting up at 5 o'clock to have an encounter with a beaver like that in what was actually already quite good light. So yeah, really chuffed. The midge are here as well, more than yesterday because it's calm. There was a bit of a breeze yesterday, but I've got the smidge insect repellent on, and that's keeping them from being too irritating just now, but I might have to put the net on in a bit. We'll have to see. Well, they call this temperate rainforest for a reason, I guess. Well, I think Mr. Beaver probably went to bed, and this rain has just reminded me that I would rather be under my tarp having a cup of tea if the beaver isn't going to show itself again. So I think that's it for this morning, and go back and have some tea, some breakfast, maybe a nap, because I did get up very early. And then during this day I'm going to come back and have a look to see if I can find if there's another active lodge on this lake, and go and have a look to see if this lodge is active with my binoculars from a respectful distance, of course. And I'm going to cook some things on my twig stove and yeah, just hang out in the woods, and hopefully I will film some of that, and you can come along too. so good. There's something about coffee when you make it outside on a twig stove or over a fire. It's just the best coffee in the world. It's fantastic. Cheers. Right, so this here is the reason that the water level is quite high on this pond, on this lake, and that all the trees look like they're kind of submerged. A few years ago, the water wasn't anything like as high as this, but this is all the work of the Beavers, and it's because of this dam, and it's absolutely huge. It's 15-20 metres long easily, and must have been a huge undertaking for them to build. But the question I really had after seeing the beavers on the other pond last night, which had not had beavers for a few years now, was have the beavers from here moved over there? Because while there's lots and lots of beaver sign around this lake, none of it looked particularly fresh. But when I came down to the dam looks like it's in really good condition, so it's probably being maintained. There's also a secondary little dam just being built downstream, and that looks really recent. And somebody else thinks it's recent too because they put a trail camera on it, which is kind of annoying because I might have put my trail camera on it if they hadn't. But there's also some fresh beaver sign just over there. So I think they probably are present on this lake as well, which is really exciting. It means that they're increasing here, which is fantastic. So I brought the trail camera with me, and I was in two minds as to where to put it after seeing the beavers on the other lake. But now that I've seen this fresh sign here, I'm actually going to put the trail camera here on the dam, on the sort of deepest part of the dam, which is where the stream comes out the other side of it and goes off into the woods. And I'm going to set that up, and we are probably going to be coming back to this area in a week's time. It's one of the first weekends that you'd be able to book a hotel on the sort of way out of lockdown, so we're really hopeful that that booking doesn't get cancelled last minute for some reason. But I'm willing to stake a fairly long drive on us being here next weekend, and I'm going to leave the trail camera here for a week. So I'm going to get that set up So I'm setting the trail camera on this kind of little low bit in the middle of the dam there, because that really looks like a way that the beavers have been coming over it. So with a bit of luck, if I aim it there, I'll definitely catch them if they go through. So I went and put the wildlife camera out, as you saw this morning, and then I went for a little wander around sort of the other side of this loch and had a look at the Beavers Lodge here, which is fantastic. It's really big. I didn't get close enough to get any pictures of it or video it because I wanted to kind of maintain my distance, keep out of their way. But yeah, it looks like it's active on here. So that's pretty good. Beavers on both lakes. Came back to camp, had something to drink, had a nap. This area is called Knapdale, so it would be rude not to, I suppose. And now it's sort of late afternoon, and I'm going to cook up a meal on the twig stove. Made sure I've got a good pile of twigs for doing this, and I'm going to try something a little bit ambitious actually. When I made a video from here with the beavers previously, I cooked a steak and some vegetables and some potatoes on a twig stove. It's a bit harder because you've got to do everything in sequence and the twig stove needs constantly feeding, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but I like a challenge in outdoors cooking. But before that, we'll get the twig stove lit and we'll get a cup of tea on, and I've got a little bit of an announcement to make. Right, nice cup of tea, and time for some exciting news. In not very long, about 2 months at the point of recording this, I'm going to become a dad. So yeah, tremendously exciting, and I'll be honest, pretty scary as well. I would be lying if I said otherwise, but it's going to be fantastic. Yeah, kind of really looking forward to it, and also kind of like really a bit scared of all the massive changes that are going to happen. But yeah, it's really, really exciting to think that I'll have a small person that can try and kind of instill the fascination and love of nature in that I got as a kid and Jess got as a kid, and have carried us on to our adult lives. So yeah, it's really cool. So cheers to a baby. Oh, I don't know how to, yeah. I'm not very good at articulating things at the best of times, so this probably sounds pretty garbled, but yeah, there's the big news. So what does that mean in terms of the YouTube channel? Well, it means not only was this the first time getting out after lockdown, and it was exciting for that reason, this is also the last time of being able to go out on my own for 2 nights for probably quite a long time. Funnily enough, before all this coronavirus lockdown business, I'd have told you that the changes that it would make to the YouTube channel would be that I wouldn't be able to upload anything like as often, and those videos would have to end up being far more local to where I live, and coronavirus stole the thunder on that, didn't it? Because that's how it's already become this year. So realistically, there'll probably be quite a kind of a pause in the early autumn when the baby makes its appearance, but once things settle down a bit, I suspect the YouTube channel will continue very much like mid-2020. Anyway, there's the news, there's the plans, and I'm going to turn all of this lot into fire and cook myself a lovely dinner, and then we're going to go and see if we can catch up with those beavers, and it's going to be awesome. Now that was spectacular, and now it's time to go and look for those beavers. So let's go. I'm down at the water's edge, opposite to where I was this morning, and I am about 50 metres from the Beaver Lodge, and I've got a good view out here over this area where the beavers were active last night and this morning. So I need to just sit quietly and wait, really. It's a waiting game now. It's about an hour and a half until sunset, and just around sunset is when they start to become active. So, with a bit of luck, if I'm quiet and sit here without making too many movements, they'll probably come right past, and that would be fantastic. Can you hear that? I really hope you can hear that. There's at least 2 tawny owls calling in the woods on the other side of the lake, and probably quite far away actually. But it's echoing across the lake. It's amazing. So cool. Listen to them go. So the beavers, I've seen them a couple of times, but they've gone that way every time. I was really confident that I'd see them in this area of the lake after seeing them here this morning and last night, but you know, if wildlife photography was predictable, it wouldn't be as much fun, huh? But it's been so good sitting here. It's so awesome. There are bats flying over now, and there have been lots of little birds in the trees here, and there's been some small rodents scurrying around on this bank behind me, really close. I've been able to hear them squeaking and rustling around here. And yeah, now these tawny owls are kicking off, and it's brilliant. This is, this is what it's really about for me. It's being out, just out in nature, and taking it all in, being part of it. It would have been nice to get some pictures of the beavers, but it doesn't matter. I got a reasonably nice one this morning, and depending on how I feel when my alarm goes off, I might quickly come and have another look tomorrow morning here by this lake before I have to drive home. But yeah, it is pretty awesome. Anyway, it's getting pretty dark now, but it's really nice here, so I'll probably give it another half hour and then pack up and head back to the top. It's probably too dark to show this, but what I've just found on the way back to the camp are some glowworms. I didn't even know you got glowworms here. It's excellent. I haven't seen them for years. So that's been a pretty lovely morning sitting here. There weren't any sort of spectacularly close encounters with the beavers, but I saw a couple and I got some fairly nice photos right at the end there, I think. So they saved the best till last. 4 sessions of watching them, and then right on the last one, some fairly decent images in quite a nice light. So yeah, that was really pleasing. And just in general, it's been so nice spending this time in the woods, and even despite the midges, and yes, that sort of sitting by the water's edge and just watching the comings and goings of all the different wildlife that's here. And also at camp and around here as well. I saw glowworms last night. I might have tried to include them in the video. I don't know if that will have worked, but I haven't seen glowworms for years. That's great. And oh dear, midgie in the eye, that's no good. You bastard. So both last night and the night before, I was incredibly impressed by how I could still use these cameras to get video in super, super low light. And thinking back to the recent video I did comparing these to the Olympus system, that's where there's a really obvious difference between the Micro Four Thirds and the full frame systems, in that you can't go to that kind of extreme ISO, extreme sort of sensor gain, and still hope to get a decent image with the Micro Four Thirds systems. Yet, no doubt technology will march along, and these things will be possible in the future. I mean, considering what these things can do, even compared to the camera I had 1 or 2 generations ago, it's absolutely insane what they can do in low light. It's just properly off the wall. I've also been incredibly impressed with the twig stove, and considering how much less impact that has on the environment than a fire, it's a really good way to go. And of course, you still get the lovely smoky smell and feeling of cooking on a fire. Anyway, I'm pretty sure, it being just after 7:30, that last encounter with the beaver, where it sort of dived in and went into the lodge, was probably its last outing for the day. It's probably gone to bed, which is not a bad shout, but I can't do that. What I can do though is go back, brew up some coffee, have some breakfast, tidy up my camp so I can be on my way. So yeah, this has been absolutely brilliant couple of days out here in the woods on the west coast of Scotland, and it's been such a pleasure watching the beavers, and also knowing that this is a reintroduced species and they're doing so well here in this area, that they are increasing, because there are beavers now on this pond, and I'm pretty sure now on the other one as well. And yeah, if we get any interesting footage on that wildlife camera, or indeed if I see beavers when we come back to collect it, then I will tag that on to the end of the video after this. But yeah, if you've enjoyed the video, please like it, share it, and leave a comment and let me know what you think. And yeah, if you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing. I'm in no way going to stop making videos once the baby comes along. There'll obviously be a bit of a pause in the kind of initial few months, but while I don't think I can promise any kind of a schedule for uploading videos, which I never do anyway, there will be more content coming along in the later in the autumn and into next year. So I hope you'll come along and join me on those as well. So yeah, thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.